We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AVRant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com. Welcome to AVRant. I'm Tom Andry, and I'm here with
Rob H.
Jonathan. Jonathan came across an article that describes how Spotify made changes to all of the music files that they streamed back in May. They reduced the loudness of all their files using a unit of measure called LUFS, which is LUFS, or loudness units relative to full scale. After some users analyzed the new files and compared them to old ones, they found that everything in the old Spotify library had a maximum level of -11 LUFS, while the new library has a maximum of -14 LUFS, which is more in line with other services. YouTube has -13, Tidal has -14, Apple has -16. So Spotify got quieter. What really changed? Won't listeners just turn up the volume dial? If they would have preferred everything quieter, wouldn't they have just turned down the volume dial on their device in the past? Is there more to it than that? Is this dynamic range? I feel like this is dynamic range.
No, it's not. It's more like weighting, and they actually refer to this if you and Jonathan even sent the whole link for what LUFS is all about. But they even refer to the LUFS process as K weighting now.
Oh, okay, that's right.
So
wasn't this whole loops thing developed so that they could test how loud the general level of your TV program was in relative to your commercials, so you could definitively say the commercials were too loud and make them lower them down to a certain level? I mean, wasn't that how this came about?
That is the origin of the LUFS whole thing, and it's because straight decibels doesn't describe our perception, right? Certain sounds at certain frequencies, we perceive them as being a lot louder, even though the actual sound pressure might have only gone up a little bit. So, for example, in the deep, deep bass, the sound pressure, the actual measured sound pressure, the actual decibels, SPL, can go up quite a bit, and we won't perceive it as being any louder. It is louder, right, but we don't perceive it that way. Whereas in the mid-range, right where the human voice is, a small increase in actual decibels will be perceived as a large increase in loudness. So what this aims to do is say, okay, these commercials are using some trickery so that even though they're at the maximum allowable decibel range, which is the same as the maximum allowable decibel range for the TV program you were just watching, we're going to use the frequencies that you will perceive as being even louder so that it still jumps out at you. So they were saying, well, we don't want that to happen. We don't want it to seem like commercials are way louder, even though we might measure them with an SPL meter and they aren't louder in decibels, but they seem louder because they're using these specific frequencies. So that's where this whole scale, this K weighting scale, LUFS, came from. So what they're doing here is it's basically applying a filter. It applies a high-pass filter to the signal so that it sort of ignores the low bass, which, like we said, can go way up in decibels, even though you might not notice it. And it actually, on the graph, makes it look like the higher and mid-range frequencies are even louder than they are, because that's how we perceive them. We perceive them as being even louder than they are. And then it says, okay, so now with this sort of, you can almost think of it as just an offset table, right? For each frequency, we're going to offset the actual decibel level by this much so that it represents our perception of that frequency. And then we're going to use that as our scale. And so at 1 kilohertz, a 1 decibel increase is supposed to equal a 1 LUFS increase at 1 kilohertz. But everything, on either side of 1 kilohertz is offset by this new K weighting scale. Okay. So now they're saying with this new scale, everything has to have a maximum level of -14, which could end up being in the mid-range something like -20 on a regular decibel scale, right? It's using this extra offset on it. So it's not just that everything got quieter. Everything got quieter would just be lowering the decibel range.
Right. But it's not that. It's
not that. It's lowering our perception. Right. But the other part of it is that it's supposed to mean that the sounds where you can increase the actual decibels a whole lot, but we don't perceive it that way. Well, they can still get louder under this new scale, right? So you can have really loud bass. That's okay under this new scale. You just got to make sure that our perception of the mid-range isn't going to be blaringly loud. So all of this comes back to basically saying, just stop mastering all the music at dBFS regardless of the frequency. Just stop doing it. That's what they're trying to, like, this was whole Apple's Masters for iTunes initiative. It was the same thing. They're like, stop it. You stupid mastering engineers, stop it. Knock it off, right? And they're actually going to implement this weighting so that even if you do that, stupid mastering engineer who just decided to peg everything as loud as it can possibly go, even if you decide to do that, it's not going to sound any louder than anybody else's music, so knock it off.
Right.
That's really what they're going after.
I've spent a lot of time recently. I don't know why. I've been thinking a lot about movies, and I've been thinking about how much we assign blame, and when we watch a movie, as to why something is as awful as it is. When we watch a movie like Batman v Superman, right? It's a movie that I absolutely hated. It's very easy as somebody who's sitting in a chair watching this thing say, this is terrible. A lot of people, and I see this happen online all the time, a lot of people don't like what's his name's portrayal of Superman.
Henry Cavill. Yeah.
I don't think there's probably. I've seen this guy in other stuff. The guy can act. I mean, he's a talented actor. So you're telling me that he is personally screwing up Superman? I can't believe that's the case. I can't believe that it's not like the director's going, this is what I want you to give me, and he does something. He's like, nope, that's not it. That's too, what would actually be good. Let me, or it's the editing, or it's this, or it is a cavalcade of people. I cannot blame the mastering engineer for mastering it the way it is, because I believe that many mastering engineers won't want to do that.
They're being told to by the record label,
or the artist, or the manager of the artist, or some associate over here or something like that, or they're getting pressure from corporate or something. So let's not assign blame necessarily to the recording engineer, but let's just say that this trend has got to stop. It's absolutely got to stop. This idea, and we've been complaining about it for a long time. I mean, ever since was it Dina that we talked about Metallica, or was that Liz? How Metallica put out an album that was pretty much pegged.
Yeah, which is even mentioned in the article that Jonanthan sent, that specific thing.
And it was pretty much pegged. I mean, it was the no dynamic range whatsoever. Everything was just completely, as loud as it could possibly get. And then they put out the Rock Band one, and they're like, oh, well, we have to make this sound more like our other songs that weren't this way. Therefore, it suddenly has more dynamic range. People are like, this is dumb. And if you can tell that there's no dynamic range in the Metallica song, it must be bad, because how much dynamic range could there have been to begin with?
No, the important thing here is that Spotify is now in line with all the other services.
Yeah, I think that's
so the whole point is, it doesn't matter what you do with the compressing the dynamic range, you're not going to sound louder than somebody else's song. That's the important thing to take
Somebody has to do this over at Pandora as well, to be honest with you. Because Pandora, there are songs that I play that I will just downvote, not because I don't like the song, but because I don't want to have to change the volume, because it's an older song. I don't want to change the volume to hear it, because everything else is all, extremely loud. This other older song is not. And I'm like, is there anything playing? Is there anything playing? I have to turn the volume up to even tell, because usually I have it on low background music. So. Want your question answered? Send it to question@avrant.com. This is AVRant.
Now go out and listen to something.